Welcome to 500 Doors, your real estate podcast, speaking with industry experts in real estate buying, selling, planning, developing, wholesaling, investing, financing, management. If it's real estate, we're talking about it. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, an award-winning 6- and 7-figure real estate agent with over 2 decades of experience. Understanding real estate is a dream for many, that we, real estate professionals, have the ability to bring that dream to reality while building better communities and being the change we want to see. Alrighty, welcome back to 500 Doors Real Estate Podcast. If this is your first time popping by, welcome. You'll find that we're a little bit different than a lot of other podcasts in the sense that we're more generalized around those who are investing or selling, buying, anything that is in real estate. So you're going to get a really wide variety of information here. Those who have followed me know that community is huge. Self-development is huge. Being true and authentic to yourself is a real pillar of how I have built my business, and it's what I really want to showcase on here. And our guest today is talking not only about investing, but investing in self. We're seeing a lot of talk out there. There's a lot of things, disruption within our commercial industry. There's, is there a bubble coming? Is there all this, there's all this kind of negativity out there, this fear factor and this can cause the human brain to go back to our prehistoric settings, and we go into like almost this hibernation of this like paralysis, right? And today I'm really excited to have our guest that maybe will help keep us motivated moving forward, not only in reassuring us around investing, but also how to get up off the couch. Don't numb yourself out. We're all guilty of this, and it's really important that we as a society continue to move positively forward, or forward in a positive fashion. So, let's invite Kyle in here. Let me give you a real quick rundown. Kyle Root started buying real estate in 2020. He has been able to go from 0 to 70 units in just 2 years. Now, I want you to stop and think about that. In a real time of flux, where people were unsure of where the world was at, of where the economy was going, of where their personal economy was going, Kyle was out there crushing it and built a portfolio of 70 units in just 2 years without using any syndicated or joint ventures. Did this all on his own. At 26, he left his W-2 job. And for those of you who are not in the United States, just so you know that security of a job is also your insurance. It's all these other things. So there is a real almost pioneer feel. That's this like, I'm going to do this. There's a real commitment when you leave the safety and security of a W-2 job. Now at 28, he continues to scale his real estate business and coach others to do the same with little money into it. His goal is to help others understand their full potential. While Kyle does enjoy talking about real estate, most of all, he enjoys talking about the importance of daily habits, discipline, overcoming obstacles, and building a life worth living. Let's invite Kyle in. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
Hey, Kim. Thanks for having me.
Did I kind of sum you up there? I ad-libbed some stuff in there. I'm actually really impressed with that. During the pandemic, when everybody else is running around that the sky is falling, you were out building a legacy. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, that was great. You kicked butt. I loved the energy. That was good.
My favorite thing to do is to introduce our everyday superheroes, and that's what we have to look for. Is quit looking for that Insta fame or the Kardashian thing, and start looking at those who are on a local level making true impact. Kyle, before we dive into what you're doing, I want to get a little bit of a pre-frame as to who you are, because I think that once we know who somebody is, we can identify with them and say, oh, hey, I've been there. I've done that. That's me, right? And that makes life a little bit easier. It makes it a little bit easier for people to be able to, you know what I'm saying? Really identify with you and how you're doing things. So Kyle, I'm going to be quiet and this is hard, just so you know, because it's Kim. Yeah, I talk a lot. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to literally turn this over and I want you to take it away for a few minutes and boil Kyle down to a few minutes. Give us everything.
Yeah. So just kind of going back, really where things started happening for me was in high school, and so many things from high school, 16 years old to 10 years later, 12 years later to today. I'll just give you a good recap on the development of me, really. High school, I grew up in a small town, was kind of the classic jock, if you will, focused a lot on sports, wasn't really focused on school. Matter of fact, I got fired from my first job. Wasn't really focused on school, just was so focused on sports. And again, at the time, I think parents can really help you in times that you need. And they just do the best they can. And that's what my parents did. They did the best they could with what they knew at the time. But for me, after sports, and luckily after high school, I actually went and played college football, got an okay degree in construction management. But at the end of the day, again, I was always focused on football. Like I thought, I was I don't even know what I was thinking. I knew I wasn't going to be an NFL player. I wasn't that good, but I was just so focused on sports and nothing to do with academics. And eventually that ends, right? And that you have kind of this like crisis, this like identity crisis of who am I? I was 22 years old when I was done playing football, and yeah, I had like a minor identity crisis. Honestly, it was more of a major identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I kind of fell into drinking too much and partying. And again, like we kind of live in a society where being young and having fun is kind of I wouldn't say the norm, but it's a little bit more accepted than really what it should, because it could lead to problems down the road. And for me, I was just doing it too much. I was drinking too much, partying too much, and again, I wouldn't say like I wasn't a full-blown alcoholic. I was still going to my classes, still going to my day job that I had, but just not focused. So it was my sophomore year in college. I ended up getting, in the summertime, I got a concrete job, pouring concrete. And for any of your listeners, or like you being a realtor and your team, like if you've seen people pour concrete, there's nothing pretty about it. It's tough, it's hard, it's not enjoyable. Your back hurts. Even though I'm young, like it's just not a sustainable life that I wanted to live. And really about that time frame, going in my junior year out of my sophomore year summer in college, is where things started clicking, where it was like, hey, Kyle, we have to make a change in our life. Not even how we work and how we operate day in and day out, but the people we're surrounded by, our habits, what we're consuming into our bodies, just everything. And I'll get into this a little bit more later, but I really had to make a big shift. So I ended up at that point, I quit football because I just needed a major change. So I quit football. I started focusing more on academics, taking care of myself, removing some of that party scene, and really just started diving deep into self-improvement and reading books and just learning about daily habits. And then about my senior year, I ended up getting a good job offer. I accepted it. Going through my junior to senior year, I was doing a lot of like entrepreneurial type investing, like not financially, but like through books and podcasts. And everything for me kept leading back to real estate. And I was like, this is very interesting. Even if you're a real retail store, or you're a commercial broker, whatever it is, it always led back somehow to someone owning a chunk of real estate or operating around real estate. Kind of fast forward graduation, graduated from college, ended up, going to work a good job, was making right around, about 100,000 a year, which was killer, at 23, 24 years old. And, I kind of was going through this analysis paralysis, kept reading real estate books, kept learning. And, about 2 years of the information gathering stage, I jumped into my first deal, which was in 2020. I was 24, 25 years old, and just kind of started expediting the habits and the growth and the entrepreneurial things, and just kind of fast forward to where I am today. So that's just kind of a background on where we're sitting at this moment.
Well, and you're absolutely right. Real estate, I think when people think real estate, they think houses, condos, that type of thing. When storage lockers are real estate, car washes are real estate. Like there's so many variables in there, and there's so much coming online that I think that with there being a shortage of housing right now, available, affordable housing, with there being a shortage, there's so many opportunities. And what's really fascinating, just so I just heard the stat the other day. Did you know statistically for every condo that is going up, there'll be a storage locker rented?
Mm, I don't know
I
that.
had no clue. I'm going, which would I would prefer to manage? A storage building or a condo building? A storage building has no people. Well, hopefully no people in it.
Right.
So so let's dive into what you do and why you're here.
Yeah. So right now we're still buying real estate. We got about 80 units stabilized. So still buying real estate, anything between 1 and 4 units. And I say we because I'm a team, right? Like, I hear a lot of people talking like, I own 70 units or I own 80 units. For me, I've built a team, and I couldn't do it without them, and I couldn't do it without my wife either. And that's why I'll say we. It's the team Empire Estate's my company. So
Good
right now we're
call.
about.
Good call. Happy wife, happy life. Okay, just
That's
had to
right.
inject
Yeah.
that. Been a wife for 30 years, folks. I gotta own that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so we're still buying real estate, flipping some properties. Like you mentioned, I purchased 70 units across 2 years, and when you scale that fast and you buy that many properties, though there probably are ways to not pick up bad eggs, we did pick a few up. So we're kind of doing some trading right now. We're getting rid of some poor performers, bringing in some better units, kind of flipping, raising our reserves. And again, like we could go into what could happen with the bubble and what's going to happen with the real estate market. And, kind of what we did is we sprinted, and now we're just kind of going for a light jog to kind of restabilize, reassess, build up our reserves, kind of become more bulletproof, if you will. So just trading the good for the bad, flipping properties, building reserves, and that's kind of our focus at this moment.
So let's unpack this a little. So let's go into how you got started the very first time. People go, I don't have 50,000. I don't have $200,000 cash. Let's go back to that very first property. And when we look at 2020, we're not talking huge price differential. It's not like we're going back to 2019 or 2018 before we saw the big bumps. 2020, 2021 was when we started seeing the escalation of pricing. This is when COVID started impacting housing. So can you first clarify what types of properties you started investing in? What were your first three properties?
Yeah, first three. First one was a side by side duplex, and I invest all in the Midwest, over here in the States. So first one was a duplex, and then the next two were both single family homes.
Okay. And where did you get the money for that?
First one I house hacked. I think it's a very underutilized and underappreciated tactic, especially when you're going to get your first one. And for any of the listeners that don't know what a house hack is, it's basically, let's say you buy a duplex. Really, you can buy anything up to 4 units. If you're going to buy a single family, you would rent the rooms. In this case, I bought a duplex. I lived in one side. I put down 5%, and in the Midwest, you could buy a side by side duplex for 200,000, and you can do the math. I mean, 5%, and I had a good paying job, so I was able to. After all the closing costs and everything, I think I ended up bringing about 20,000 plus some repairs and stuff to the table. So I had about 20,000 in there. I lived in one side, rented out the other. My biggest expense is rent. So now I own the asset. I lived basically for free, and I had $20,000 wrapped up into the property. And after about, and again, I was still working at this time, didn't leave my job, still working. And then, again, in the Midwest, you can buy a single family home for 60, 70, 80 grand. And that's what I bought my next two single family homes, put 15% down, did repairs, did cash out refinance on them. So just quick example, bought two individually for 60,000, put about 10,000 into them. They were worth now about 100,000. Did a cash out refi, got my money back at 80% loan to value, got my money back plus 10,000. And that kind of all clicked for me. I was like, okay, so I can do a cash out refinance, get my money back, and just kind of keep capital rolling and building this account where I can keep going out and buying properties. And then once I started building up enough capital, I could go get two. And then I was like, okay, cash out refi. Now I can go get four. And then once we got four, I was like, okay, now I can bring in a team. And it was just kind of dissecting those little pieces of what we needed. But really those first three were, and it was amazing that you asked what your first three, because those were really the biggest. Once I got those, I was like, kind of an aha moment, if you will.
And when you talk about house hacks, so we have the HGTV has been around, I believe now for 29 years. And it has really changed the way people shop for houses. Most people should be looking for the deal, but they all want the reveal, right? They all want the house
Ooh.
after. So walk me through house hacking. How did you build equity aside from the natural, even if the market goes up and goes down? How are you building the value of that very first duplex? Let's walk through that a little bit, because you've got a tenant in one side, you're living in the other. Was the duplex show TV show ready? Like, was it a reveal or was it the deal?
Yeah, it was the deal. We had to put sweat equity into both sides because you know just as well as anybody that in order to really, especially in this market, it's really tough to buy a deal as is. That's up, turnkey. It's just really difficult. So everything that I was buying, especially this duplex, I'll just go through an example. When I was living in that one side, I really sacrificed and like sacrificed. I was 24 years or 25 years old. I was working in a little bit of a
It wasn't
construction
where
zone.
you brought your dates home to, right?
No. Oh no. But yeah, I was basically living in a construction zone. I was fixing it up. Once I got it fixed up, I actually went to the tenant next door. I said, hey, I've got a nicer unit over here. What do you think about swapping? It was a much nicer unit than he was in. I raised rent $200. He was happy. I gave him the garage. I moved in the next one. I fixed that one up. But again, it was about like a 6-month period of some short-term sacrifice. But again, like, who's not willing to sacrifice short-term to play the long-term game,
Short term. And one of the things I do want to point out from somebody that's on the real estate side of things, right? As the money gets tighter and as the housing prices start leveling out and interest rates and everything going on, more people will be doing home inspections. So ensure that you use, for your electrical and your plumbing, you are using accredited professionals. I have nobody, I'm not making any money off of this, PSA here. I'm just telling you, it will come back and bite you in the butt every time if that home fails electrical or plumbing. Everything else is something that you probably can do. I just had a girlfriend who does not do concrete, but her husband did work concrete. So, but they just over the weekend, Memorial Weekend here in Canada, here in Alberta, was the second hottest weekend for Memorial Weekend on record in 100 years.
Oh, geez.
It was brutal hot. And our elevation is so hot here, and our sun is so intense for 8 to 10 hours a day. Like, the sun comes up at 5 a.m. and goes down at 11 p.m. here. Our sun is so intense. We're like UVX. Like, our UV is like 1,000 degrees, right? You got to put sunblock 60 on and then still put something over you. 75 bags of concrete is what they went through, pouring entire front steps. but that's dedication to people who are really wanting, to ensure that they're getting the most out of their property return. So I just want to put that PSA out there, folks. Don't cheap out on your electrical or your plumbing, because those two things can cause you to rip everything out that's pretty. Um, so I want to talk about short-term gain, long-term gain. So we've already talked, real estate. I want to approach the other side of you, because we as human beings are dynamic. It's not just one. And you talked about short-term gain or short-term pain for long-term gain. Walk me through how that mindset impacts both your financial business and your personal.
Yeah. So I really made that, like going back to my story, I really made that shift when I graduated college, and I realized that some short, and I'm not saying like short term sacrifice that you're gonna be able to enjoy it when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, and that's really the society that we live in, right? You go work for someone for 30 years, and then at retirement you'll be able to enjoy it. I'm talking some short-term sacrifice for a few months to be able to enjoy some nuggets down the road. And for me, I just kept looking like, I'll just take real estate as an example. For me to work on one side and then go to the other side and fix it, that was a matter of 6 months. And then I moved out. I moved out probably about 9 months to 10 months. And that property was completely fixed up. I was able to do a cash out refinance, get my money back, and it was cash flowing $800. So again, would you give 9 months for your first property to make, 800-900 bucks a month in a stabilized property? You have no money into it and you're cash flowing. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't. Again, you can scale a lot faster. Like you can do faster than 9 months, but that was really the first piece. And I'm just like, I'll just keep doing this. And that was kind of the first step into, hey, Kyle, we're okay sacrificing for a short period of time. And that might be my time. It might be my physical labor. It might be time that I can't spend with my wife, or time that, I can't be hanging out with my buddies and, spending time on the weekend. But I mean, look, and I'm talking to myself kind of here, but look what I've been able to do over the last 2 years. It's like, hey, Kyle, like it's pretty cool to do what you did and you sacrificed, and I'll keep doing it. So yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but
Well, you talk, yeah, absolutely. You talk about mindset, helping people like the discipline and overcoming obstacles. Um, you know, I want to dig a little bit into kind of what does your day look like? Like, walk
mm,
us through your day, a day of productivity that is for a real estate investor that has a family, right? And you're in fitness and everything. So walk me through, what does your average calendar day look like?
yep, it's about the same thing every day. So I get up between 4 and 4:30, and this kind of goes into some of the mindset stuff. It's like clockwork. I pour myself a cup of coffee, I journal, I read 10 pages, and not a lot. And I'll go into some of that like micro dosing, and you're better off micro dosing little nuggets than reading a book all day. Like for me, I would rather do a little bit every single day consistently over a long period of time than hammer away, because when I've hammered away in short periods of time, it leads to burnout. So, anyways, yeah, I read, I journal, I drink my coffee, and then I go to the gym around 5:30. I work out from 5:30 till about 7. At 7 o'clock, I shower. I have an office, which is where I'm in now. 7 o'clock, yeah, like 7:30 is really when I start work. I work till about 11 o'clock in the morning, and there's a really nice like walking path here, and I just like to get out. And I just like to get out, and I don't do anything serious. I'll just turn on some light music or a podcast, and I'll just go for like an hour walk, or a little run walk or something, just to get outside and enjoy the sun, and just be outside and moving and not working. And then I'll come back. I'll work for another 3 or 4 hours, so about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I just go home, eat dinner with my wife, Stacia, and we just from there we really hang out. And I know there's kind of this um this backing behind, you shouldn't be sitting around watching TV, but for us, it's like, hey, we know what we like, we know what we enjoy. We do watch Netflix, we do hang out. So where people are like, Kyle, you're really motivated, you're hardworking. It's like, yeah, I mean, most of the time, but I'm also a normal human. Like, I also do enjoy, going to eat donuts on a Saturday, and I do enjoy like watching TV. Like it's just about some balance, and just being
Balance.
consistent.
Yeah, balance and consistency. That is the big one. And I hear the term work-life balance, but I don't know about you, Kyle, but when I'm in work mode, I'm 100% in work mode, right?
There you go.
The personal life does get put on back burner. But when I'm in personal life, I'm pretty much 100% my personal life. So I don't think that
I
that
love that.
I am ever kind of in that work life balance. I'm like, sometimes some weeks are honestly 70% work and 30% family. And then other weeks I'm 60% family, 40% work. So it shifts a lot. Um, you said something that I you know, kind of tweaked into around, the Netflix and mindset and social media. I want to ask you, how involved are you in social media? And be very truthful. Do you love social media? Are you on it every day? Like, where is social media and how do you relate that to mindset?
Yeah, to be honest, I think if I wasn't trying to help other people and I wasn't trying to push a message, I would. And solely from my perspective, I don't think I would be on social media at all. But I post every single day, or at the minimum 5 days a week, just informational type stuff on my Instagram. And I push a lot of stories. Like if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see every single morning I'm at the gym. You'll see me read, journal. It's basically day in the life of Kyle. So everyone will see everything that I do every single day. And I don't like it, but I love the feedback. I think there's a lot of people that reach out. There's so many people that have reached out to Kyle, just seeing you wake up, and I'll post a picture of my journal at 5:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, and they'll say, Kyle, this is so motivating. I love when you do this. So it's bigger than me. It's not, not everything is about me. If there, again, it goes back to, if there's a little bit of sacrifice for me to help other people, I think that sacrifice for me is actually more beneficial. Not only, not just everybody else, but also me, because in my heart I also feel good, because it's like I'm motivating others to get up earlier and take care of themselves and go to the gym and work. um so yeah, I am on there a lot. I post a lot. I am heavily involved in social media. But to be honest, if people aren't trying to sell a product or they're not trying to help people, I totally understand why people wouldn't have social media.
Yeah, and there is a mindset piece. My social media um is all around, it's all filtered. It's all goes through. I have a person on my team. They've been off for a few weeks, folks, but I do have a person on my team, because I find that I always start getting into that reel of how good everybody else is doing, and then I forget what I'm doing. And I just want to
Very
put that
good.
out there, is that, I promise you that you're doing, everybody is listening to this. I promise you, you're doing something great. You are doing something great. We tend to overlook our own personal greatness when we're trying to compare it to the sizzle reel of somebody else's life. I want to go into a little bit real quick before we start shifting into the second half of the show here. I want to ask you, how do you mentor or coach? What does that look like? And where is that going for you?
Yeah, so it's a one-on-one coaching program. And I'll kind of dive uh, into it here. And like, if anyone, once I explain, if anyone's interested, the best place to find me is just going to my Instagram, which is KJ_root. Just sending me a DM and we can work through it. But basically, what it is, it's a one-on-one coaching program where I help people either buy their next deal or their first deal. And the reason I got a lot of like actually I got coaching in how to be a good coach. And a lot of these people were saying that I need to put a program together and sell a course rather than one-on-one coaching, because they said, Kyle, you can sell more volume, you can help more people. But I'm also a person that doesn't really step out of my lane. If I feel like it doesn't connect with my morals and values, I won't do it. And that was this case, is that I wanted the one-on-one connection. Like if it was you, me, and 50 other people in a call right now, it wouldn't be as intimate. It wouldn't be as enjoyable. And that's how the way I feel. So I wanted a one-on-one program where I could really dive into what the person's purpose was. And I think when you're just selling a course, you're it's just, it would be, for me personally, it'd be hard to do. I would be more focused on volume and revenue and profit margins than people. Like how many people am I helping? How much real estate have we bought? So it's a one-on-one program. It's 12 weeks. And basically my guarantee is that I'll show you how to do it with little to no money. Exactly how I'm buying real estate, I'm going to show people how to do it. And we've now, again, I say we because there's people on the back end helping me. We've now helped 33 people buy their first property or their next property, all with little to no money in the property, and they cash flow. So it's been a really an amazing, and it's amazing. I don't know if you do like one-on-one coaching or programs or anything, but if you, well, or being a real estate agent, you know that helping other people becomes more satisfying than helping yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's the legacy that you want to leave?
Yeah, that's a good one. And this I'm gonna go kind of deep here. And I think when you're brought up in a certain household, and I came from a very modest living, a divorced family, and it was just difficult. And just seeing my dad and who he was, the legacy that I want to live is changing the generational footprint and the trajectory of what it means to be a root. And that's my last name, Root. So what it means to be a man as a root. And I think that's really my legacy to leave to hopefully my future kids, but not even that, but start changing what men and women in the direction that people can go, that it doesn't have to be this W-2 job and working for someone forever, and that we can enjoy a life. So, though I might not be someone that is remembered for 1,000 years or 10,000, whatever, I'm okay with that. If I can help some people today when my time's done, and if I can help change the trajectory of my family and my kids, I'm okay with that. Like I don't need a bunch of pats on the back. I just want to change the people that I can.
And I think if more people thought in that mode, we'd have, I guess, greater integrity within messaging.
That's good.
So I love that. And I love the fact that, yeah, got to play on your name. That's awesome. So, I it's really important. I'm going to put Kyle's socials back up here, and it's kylejroot.com. For those who are just listening in, Kyle, KYLEJ Root, ROOT.com. And I'm sure from there we can connect into all your socials and get information on that program. There's so many ways that you can invest in real estate. There are REITs, real estate investment trusts. So if you're in a major market where it's $500,000 to even get your toe in the water, in the real estate pool, it may be better to take a look at a REIT. Maybe that's an option. Maybe go in pooling with a partner. Maybe looking at alternative markets. I know that my home market, Wichita, Kansas, you can buy a single family property for about $170,000. So then once you factor in a property manager, where are you at price wise? Or can you pick up and go somewhere and do a house hack on there for 6 months? Can you relocate? There's so many opportunities out there. I think that when we place obstacles in our way, it's a lot of those obstacles are in our head. They're those limiting beliefs, right? I love listening to like Bob Berg and from the Go Giver and James Clear, Atomic Habits. Like some of these are so great, but filling your earbuds with a good book or a great podcast and filtering out the naysayers or those who want to sell you magic beans. Those Those are my favorite. I got a deal for you. It's like, seriously, when did the sham wow guy become acceptable in every real estate opportunity? I'd like to know from you, Kyle, what book you would recommend everybody read and why. How did it impact you and why do you recommend it?
Yeah, there's a book that I recently read, and I've been telling everyone to read it. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And just exactly the way it sounds, it's giving you a slight edge on everything in life, how to give you an edge on how to save time, how to operate and function at a higher level, how to create better habits, everything. Yeah, it's an amazing book. So The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
And is Jeff Olson, is that a J-E or a G-E?
Yep, Jeff.
Okay, I'm going to put that up on screen. You also find that in our show notes, folks. Where did it go? Here it is. Show. So what I always ask, so what is a quote? A quote that helps get you through the hard days. Because you know what, folks? No matter how beautiful everybody's life looks on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, I just heard of another one called FUD. I don't know if you've heard of that platform. That's a new one that's in the United States for side hustles. People who
Oh,
have a side hustle, which I thought was actually really cool. I'm going to, so no matter where
what's
you're
it
at,
called?
FUD, F-U-D. I'd never heard of it. I actually heard about that from an awesome gal who is she does marketing and social and copywriting, and she's out of Australia. So I'm hearing about a U.S. program out of Australia. But no matter what you see on other people's reels, everybody has a tough day. Everybody has a day where going, I don't know if today's the day I'm going to get out of bed. I don't know if I want to wear pants. Now, that is the beauty of being in a virtual business. We don't always have to wear pants. Hey, you don't know if I have pants on. No, I'm just joking. Bad visual. But what is a quote that helps you navigate those tough days or keeps you on track when you know what you want to do, you know where you want to go, but it's just it's a little bit of a push.
Yeah, I want to give just a quick backstory on this quote before I go into it. So every single Sunday, I sit down in the afternoon and I write down. A lot of people will call a list, what I have to do for the list, a to-do list. I actually call it an accomplishment list, and the reason I call it accomplishment list is because to-do lists are something that people put on their fridge and never get done. And for me, I'm basically psychologically telling myself we're going to accomplish this week. This is what we're going to accomplish. And right below there, I say, it's a quote that says, your actions have to be stronger than your feelings. So the things that you do, basically your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. So your mind has to be stronger than your emotions, where a lot of people will operate based on how they feel and based on their emotion. And I have in the past, where I've been in business banking meetings and things weren't going my way and I acted out of emotion rather than using my brain and doing the right thing. So yeah, your mind has to be stronger than your emotions. Hello.
Sorry, that's me.
Oh,
I didn't click
there
my
you are.
button. We'll be
There you
editing
are.
out that moment. We'll be
Okay.
editing out that moment. Edit end. I'm going to put that in. Edit
I was like, uh-oh.
end. That's funny. I was saying when I was not in the room with you, it's interesting because in sales we say emotions buy, logic justifies. Logic justifies. And I think that so much damage over the last 4 or 5 years has been ran by, I feel, I feel you're saying this. I feel my feelings are hurt. And if you're running on feelings only, um, feelings, yes, they guide, but they don't actually have substance. action has substance. And I will tell you, one of my favorite things I've heard is there is no such thing as luck. Once you're born, your luck is run out. Once you're born, or once you're like 3, 4, 5, your luck is run out. At that point in time, it is a matter of creating opportunities and taking action, right?
So,
And yeah, so don't think that Kyle is lucky. Kyle created his opportunities, and he has taken action. And I love the fact that you're extending that outward, right? And yes, the market has been flooded. I'm with you, Kyle. I've been told time and time again, oh, you should have a program on this. You should, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm that's not the space I'm in. That's not. I don't, want 40 or 50 people in, a coaching program. I want to pick and select who I spend my time with.
I love it. Yeah.
So, Kyle, thank you for sharing your time. This was absolute time well spent. I love seeing when when the next generation, I'm not going to use the term younger generation, but when the next generation is taking action to curate the world to live in, to create legacy. I love that. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Cam.
All righty, folks. That's it for today. Hope you got some great nuggets there. Be sure to kind of subscribe to the channel, keep listening, and hang around for my super duper awesome favorite closing. And be sure to dance to the music a bit, have some fun. And you know what? Give yourself some grace. We're all doing the best we can do.
Thank you for joining us at the 500 Doors, Your Real Estate Podcast. Be sure to join our Facebook group at Real Estate Success with 500 Doors. Keep on watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know sharing is caring.